And we have a guest on the show today who also has a podcast. We're going to bring her on in a moment. Her name is Rennie. And I was on her podcast as well.
Awesome.
Last week, the episode aired. And we're going to bring her on now to talk about her podcast and what she's got going on. So, welcome, Rennie.
Hello,
and I'll let you
hello.
do it. Charles, I think we both canceled each other out just now. Welcome, Rennie. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Rennie? What's going on with you? How you doing today?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me.
Mute.
Oh. Sorry. I wanted to make sure during your commercial I wasn't talking or anything. But thank you guys for having me. I've never done a live podcast before, so this is a little bit of a different format, uncharted waters for me. So I like it. I'm liking being here.
Awesome. Glad.
All right, so a little bit about me. Like Naeem was saying, he was on my podcast last week that aired on Friday. I have a new series going on called the Mahal Kita series. That is Filipino for I love you. So I wanted to do a series about love, and I decided to title it that because I also have a jewelry collection coming out with the same name. So the two came at the perfect time, and I just decided to link the two. So that's what's going on the podcast right now. It's called Call Me Crazy, and it's on all streaming platforms. There's usually a visual aspect to it as well that will be available on YouTube and Spotify, but it's on the podcast app for Apple. It's on Amazon Podcasts. So it's everywhere that you can listen and or watch. And I named it Call Me Crazy just to give a little bit of a disclaimer that it's a deeper level of Rennie, and the one that is on Instagram and Facebook and these different social media platforms, it's definitely a little bit more brand friendly, and I just take it, it's just another level of me. It's still who I am, but it is in some cases a little bit more crazy than I get on the day-to-day. So
awesome. I'm gonna have to check it out, definitely. So
yes.
We definitely have to check that out. And what you were talking about love, and what perfect person to talk about love with is Naeem Najib. So shout out to my brother, you know what I mean? So he does his thing. So that was a great choice.
Yeah, so it lined up perfectly. Me and Naeem actually met in Africa towards the end of August, early September. And we didn't really know what we wanted to record about at the time, but we were just having such great conversations on the trip alone that we were like, we got to sit down and talk about something. So when I shifted over to a new series, a new season of sorts, it just, again, everything usually falls into place as it should.
Awesome. That's awesome.
I was just going to ask you guys, so how do you usually do this in terms of having a guest? Like, is there a topic at hand? Is there something like what?
I'll let Naeem go ahead and tell you about that. Go ahead, Naeem.
Yes, the topic is we always have a topic, and we also have an open format for people to ask questions because it's streaming on YouTube and Facebook right now. So the topic today is called Raising the Flags. We're talking about, people say, red flags in relationships, but are there other kinds of flags than just red flags? Are there green flags? Are there yellow flags? What does that mean? And before we get to that, since your podcast is also called I Love You, right? It has love in it. We usually start with a definition of love for people to look at and to see what we talk about in Love 101 as far as the principles of what a loving or healthy relationship is. I'm going to bring that up. And this is the universal facts of love and fear, aka the principles of a healthy and toxic relationship. So I covered them also on your podcast, and I want to say thank you for having me, Rennie, and your just being vulnerable and sharing your story. That was incredible. We got a lot of good feedback from people who've watched it as well. So you should definitely check it out, everybody. That's what I mean by red, green, and yellow flags. And with that said, Rennie, would you like to tell us what you would consider? Let's just start with the green flags. What would be some green flags in a relationship?
Some green flags in a relationship would be, at least I'm going to speak from obviously my personal experience in my life and the things that I personally need. I need someone who knows that even though I'm on my phone for work, that doesn't mean I'm communicating on my phone personally throughout the day. So I love nothing more than to catch up with you at the end of the day, the end of the week, whatever it may be, but someone who can grasp that concept that we don't need to be in communication 24/7 for you to think I care about you, want to spend time with you, or anything of that sort.
And she also says, green flag, how about a movie tonight? If not, I'll catch you another time. It's okay either way. Okay? And we got a yellow light here. She says, opens the door for you only when someone is looking. You know, I hate that too, HT. I love opening doors, so, you know, that's my thing. So shame on them for not keeping the doors open. And also, she says a red light is a verbal attack, then apologizes. So.
And she said, "Pal," so she knows what's going on already.
Yeah, pal. My bad. I didn't.
Pal, what's pal, Lenny? What
Yeah, because when it was pal, it looked like an acronym. So I'm thinking,
Yeah, that one hit me. That one hit me hard in my episode with Naeem on my podcast. If you hear dogs, there's dogs downstairs and there's dogs in my apartment. Just a fair warning. But pal is to promise, apologize, lie, and then I assume repeat. Which was something that I have dealt with in the past many a times, and that was a memorable part. So when I saw that, I said, then apologize, pal. She called it. She called it out.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you told me because I had no idea what it was. Thanks, HC. I learned something tonight.
I mean, you didn't read my book.
I was just going to say that to you, man.
You know what? Hey, listen, I ain't going to lie,
yellow
man. I have so many acronyms at work. I don't even work. Listen, I can't. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's just crazy. But again, now I know.
But see, that's why it's important, man. To have these great the important these conversations right up front. You know what I mean? And just, going there with intentions. Listen, I gotta get to know this person versus, I'm gonna just fake it out for about another month, and then I'm gonna let them see who I am for real. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just a lot of people that, I ain't gonna say a lot. Some people out there that are just very, I don't know. They just lie, And when I say that, I mean in general, just as a person in general, they lie to who they are. Like in general, just be honest. Listen, I'm a thief. I'm gonna take your money. I'm gonna run. Do whatever I gotta do. Run up your bills. You're gonna be paying for my dinner all the time. This is just how it is. And maybe they accept you for that. Some women are probably, or I'm speaking on men. Some women are probably accept you for that. I don't know. Maybe Rennie can vouch for that one.
I don't think that's how leeches work, though. Like,
yeah, right.
I truly believe, like, if you are confident and proud of who you are, you most likely aren't doing those things to people. So it's easy for us to sit here and say, shit, if I was this and that, I'd just be upfront with it. But we're not. So we don't do people like that. So it's easy for us to think like, I'm me all the time. But that's because you're not a horrible person. So people who have, ill intent are always going to hide because they know that you would run if not. I had my, abuser who I talked about in the podcast with Naeem literally tell me to my face, well, if you knew I was still talking to girls when we first started dating, then you would have left me right then and there. Yeah, makes sense. I would have. So thanks for hiding it. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Something that Naeem said earlier, he brought up the word desperate. And I feel like that's a really important part too. Like I always say, in terms of that relationship, I didn't deserve the way I was treated, but there was a level of insecurity that I had inside of me that allowed such energy into my life and let it stay there. It got really tumultuous to the end to where anyone would stay just by being afraid. But if you are fully armed, you have a life that you love, and you are whole as an individual, you won't feel desperate enough to zoom past that yellow light. You'll be able to be like, hey, you know what? I love my alone time. So if you anything but good, like I'ma slow it
Yeah,
down.
that's right. That's right. Shoot. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say what you were saying about leeches and how they operate. It's like, yeah, you wouldn't let me latch on to you if I told you I was a leech in the first place, right? We
Right.
don't go out looking for bloodletting anymore, right? We're not. We kind of got past. We're not looking for someone to intentionally. I mean, you got a whole bunch of stories where it's like, oh, I believe in this person's potential, so I'm going to support them, or this person just lying about their ability to take care of themselves, or I'm just going to help them out, but they got like 10 people that's helping them out in this way, and they just circling around to get, it's your turn now, your turn to help me out.
Hey, let me go back a look at you,
Let's go
Naeem.
to
You were talking about potential. When does that potential
yeah.
card run out? Can somebody help me out with that one? You know what I mean? You got this guy or this woman, or I'm gonna be this, I'm doing this, I'm gonna do that. When does that potential card run out? I want to hear some answers from somebody, because if you're a certain age at a certain point, and I ain't trying to be smart, but let's say you're trying to be a rapper and you're like 45 years old, almost 50. When does that potential card run out? You got the woman, he's a good, he can do it, he can blow up, When does that run out? I need to hear that from everybody out there. So I don't know. But anyway, go ahead. What you saying, Naeem? It was just on my mind. It just threw me off a little bit. So
No,
Rennie,
I'm
when does
open
that card run out for you? I want to hear from a woman's perspective. When does that potential? He has great potential, but he's home sitting on the couch smoking weed, drinking. When does that run out? Talk to me, please.
So I was just about to say it depends on the circumstance, but you gave me the circumstance, and it ain't too bright for my boy. He is smoking weed on the couch, drinking during the day. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it all has to do with the other person. So I'm gonna speak from me, but it has to do with the other person and their willingness to allow such activity. I'm at a point where I have no time for that. So if you tell me I'm sitting on the couch so I can create X amount of beats today so I can send it to someone and they send some vocals back and I'm gonna lay it down and we're gonna do this and that, I can work with that for a little bit.
Right.
A little bit, right? Like if you need to get in your mojo, you need to be high, you need to do a little drinky drink to get into that mode, but you're executing is one thing. I don't like laziness, especially during the day. I like to be up. I always say my circadian rhythm is rhythming. So when the sun comes up, Rennie comes up. When it goes down, I go down with it. 6 p.m. I'm about ready to go now. So I like to be up during the day. I would like my partner to also be up during the day and at it and with it. I like my relaxing, my drink, my weed towards the nighttime when I'm winding down. So it has to do with who you are as a person, how much you can put up with. But again, if there's nothing being done within those hours, I don't see it going really far, at least for me.
Right. Okay. I was just wondering, because I hear that all the time. He has such great potential, or she has such great potential. I'm like, well, what are they doing, and how old? When are they going to get it together? You know what I mean, and make it happen. So. Who you saying? I didn't mean
potentially. I was just gonna throw potentially you could stand up and do 20 squats or 20 push-ups or go walk around the block or go to the gym, and if you don't, then you just don't. It's wasted potential.